He stands at the edge of Mount Olympus, the wind cutting across the stone, like a blade carrying with it the faint sound of something far below, something fragile, desperate, human. Prometheus does not look back at the halls of the gods, where the fire burns endlessly, eternal and untouchable. Instead, his gaze is fixed downward, where humanity trembles in darkness, huddled against a cold they do not understand, afraid of a night that never seems to end. Behind him, just within reach, the divine flame flickers, warm, alive, forbidden. And in that moment, the distance between gods and mortals feels smaller than ever and far more dangerous. Prometheus is not a god of Olympus, but something older, something that remembers a time before Zeus ruled the sky. He is a titan, born of the ancient generation that once shaped the cosmos itself, a being associated not with brute force, but with foresight, with the quiet ability to see what others cannot. While the Titans fell in the great war against Zeus, Prometheus chose a different path. He did not resist the new order, but aligned himself with it, earning a place among the gods, at least for a time. Yet even in loyalty, there is distance. Where Zeus governs through power and control, Prometheus observes, studies, and reflects, and his attention settles not on the divine, but on something far more fragile. In the ancient telling, it is Prometheus who shapes humanity from clay, kneeling in the earth, forming bodies from dust and breath, giving shape to beings that are neither divine nor beast, but something uncertain, unfinished. They move, they live, but they lack something essential. Zeus sees them as insignificant, a minor creation in a vast order. Prometheus sees something else entirely, possibility. And in that quiet difference, something begins to grow. Not yet rebellion, but the seed of it. The decision does not come in a flash of defiance, but in silence. Prometheus stands before the fire of the gods, its glow dancing across his face, illuminating the weight of what he understands. This is not just flame. It is knowledge, power, transformation. Without it, humanity will remain as they are, cold, afraid, vulnerable to a world they cannot shape. With it, they will change. They will rise. And so, without ceremony, without permission, he reaches forward. His hand does not tremble as he draws a single ember from the divine flame and hides it within a hollow fennel stalk, concealing its light beneath something ordinary. It is a small act, almost invisible, but it changes everything. He turns from Olympus, carrying with him not just fire, but consequence. When the flame reaches humanity, the transformation is immediate and irreversible. Darkness retreats, shadows pull back, and for the first time, the night is no longer absolute. Fire becomes warmth, then protection, then tool. It hardens metal, reshapes stone, bends nature itself to human will. Fear begins to fade, replaced by something new: control. Civilization does not appear all at once, but its first spark is undeniable. The world begins to move differently, and Olympus notices. Zeus does not erupt in blind fury. His anger is colder than that, sharper, deliberate. This is not merely theft, it is defiance. A line has been crossed that cannot be ignored, not because of the flame itself, but because of what it represents: the breaking of order, the challenge to authority. And so the punishment is not swift, but precise. Prometheus is taken to the far edges of the world, to the unforgiving peaks of the Caucasus Mountains, where the earth itself feels hostile and distant. There, against a jagged wall of stone, he is bound. His arms are stretched wide, his body exposed to the sky, unable to move, unable to escape. Time does not matter here. There is no end to count toward. Then comes the eagle. It descends from the vast emptiness above, silent at first, its shadow passing over the stone like a warning. Then the wind shifts, and it strikes. There is no hesitation, no mercy. It tears into him with relentless precision, consuming his liver while he remains conscious, aware, unable to resist. The pain is not momentary, it is sustained, deliberate, inescapable. And when the day ends, when the creature finally leaves, the wound does not remain. The flesh returns, the body restores itself, the suffering resets. Morning comes, and the eagle returns, again, and again, and again. But the punishment does not end with Prometheus. Zeus extends it to humanity, not with fire, but with something far more subtle. He orders the creation of a woman, Pandora, crafted not from earth, but with intention. Each god gives her something: beauty, grace, voice, curiosity. She is not flawed, she is designed. And with her a sealed container is given, simple in form, but heavy with meaning. She is told not to open it, and in that command the outcome is already decided. At first she resists, she carries it, studies it, wonders. The question grows quietly, insistently, until it becomes impossible to ignore. And then, in a single moment that feels both small and inevitable, she lifts the lid. What escapes is not fire, not light, but something far more pervasive. Suffering spills into the world. Disease, grief, pain, loss, things that cannot be seen, but can never be escaped. They move sustained silently, embedding themselves into human existence, reshaping it from within. Pandora recoils, horrified, and closes the container, but it is too late. The world has changed again, and inside the box, one thing remains, left behind when all else has fled. Hope. Time stretches on. Years become centuries. Prometheus remains bound to the mountain, enduring a punishment that was never meant to end, his body caught in a cycle of destruction and renewal, pain and restoration. The world below continues to evolve, shaped by the very fire he gave, while he remains suspended between suffering and purpose. Until one day, something changes. A figure climbs the mountain, not slowly, not uncertainly, but with intent. Hercules, son of Zeus, stands before the chained Titan and sees not a criminal, but something else, something that does not belong in chains. Without hesitation, he raises his bow. The arrow cuts through the air with finality, striking the eagle before it can descend again. The creature falls, and for the first time in ages, the sky is still. The chains are broken, the weight is lifted. Prometheus is no longer bound. But freedom does not erase what has been endured. It does not undo the centuries of pain, nor does it return the world to what it was. The fire remains with humanity. The suffering unleashed by Pandora remains as well. What was done cannot be undone. Prometheus stands in a strange place, between hero and rebel, between savior and defier, a figure whose story echoes something deeply familiar. Like another being who once stood near the heights of power and chose to act against it, he challenges the divine order. But where one sought to rise, Prometheus chose to descend. Where one reached for power, he gave it away. And yet, both are punished. There is something deeply human in that contrast. To defy authority is always dangerous, regardless of intention. The act itself carries weight, consequence, cost. But Prometheus introduces a question that lingers long after the story ends. What does it mean to act not for oneself, but for others, knowing what the price will be? What does it mean to endure suffering so that something else, something fragile, something unfinished, can become more? In the end, Prometheus is not remembered for the chains, or even for the punishment, but for the choice that made it inevitable. The moment he turned from the fire of the gods and carried it into the darkness below. And in that moment, the world changed forever. And the fire that changed it was never truly stolen. It was paid for in full by the one who chose to bring it down.